If you're interested in learning the 7 habits of self-made millionaires so you can adopt and apply and essentially implement these exact same habits in your life, then I've got the video for you. Hey there, my name is Adam Earhart, marketing agency owner, online advertising consultant, and modern marketing strategist. And welcome to the Modern Marketing Show, where we help you grow your business by making way better marketing. So, if you're interested in learning the latest and greatest marketing strategies, tools, tips, tricks, and tactics, well, you may want to consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Over the last 15 years, I've had the honor and privilege of working with a number of different millionaire, multimillionaire, and billionaire entrepreneurs and CEOs. And I can tell you with certainty that there's some very distinct habits that the incredibly successful people have that those who are just scraping by or doing okay do not. And that's why in this video, I want to share with you the 7 habits of self-made millionaires that I've personally witnessed and experienced among my most successful clients and colleagues. So with all that said, let's dive right into habit number 1. Self-made millionaires all understand that time is their most valuable and precious asset. As a habit, they prioritize efficiency over almost everything else because they understand that they can always make more money and they can go to sleep and get more energy, but you can never get back more time. Personally, this was a game changer for me. I remember the exact day that I made my first hire and my first employee into the company, and essentially my week and my weekly productivity doubled overnight. You see, this is such an incredibly valuable habit to have, and why all self-made millionaires really have it, by prioritizing and essentially putting time at the absolute top of their list. They know that they're good at a certain and specific thing, their zone of genius, where they operate best and can do things better than anyone else. And what they do is they stay in this zone and they delegate everything else. This is why one of the first things to go on the path to becoming more successful is to start delegating tasks that you're not that good at or you don't enjoy or that aren't the best use of your time. These can include things like house cleaning or yard work or simple errands or administrative type work that someone else will be equally qualified to do. This in turn frees you up to focus on higher value tasks that'll really drive your business forward. Self-made millionaires also often prioritize efficiency over comfort. Now, one of the most hotly contested debates in the self-made millionaire world is the first class travel and even business jet travel as you get into the higher echelons. Is it worth it? Is it cost effective? And so on. Now, if you look at it from a strictly numbers point, where say flying in coach or economy is going to be $500 and a first class ticket is going to be $5,000, well then clearly it doesn't make a lot of sense financially. However, when you factor in things like time savings and the ability to work and not be disturbed and priority boarding and things like that, you start to realize that there may actually be a good return on investment by flying in first class opposed to coach. Now, of course, some people just do it because they like it, and that's all right, but the reality is that as you become more and more successful, you're able to start allocating resources toward things that make you more efficient, freeing you up time and allowing you to become even more productive. Alright, so the next habit of self-made millionaires is that they stay incredibly competitive. This one should be pretty obvious, but the reality is that you can't win if you don't really want to win, which is why self-made millionaires all have a very strong drive and a desire to accomplish and to compete and essentially to win. Now, sometimes winning gets a bad rap because it means crushing the other guy, and that's not at all what I'm talking about. In fact, most self-made millionaires really want to seek out those win-win situations, but again, they're going to prioritize winning over losing, obviously. You see, one of the unique mindset shifts that a lot of self-made millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires have is that they view business as kind of a game, and money is really just a scorecard, kind of like collecting rocks. If rocks were money. I guess some rocks kind of are money, like diamonds and stuff. The next habit of self-made millionaires is that their mind never stops. They're always thinking, they're always working on something, and they're always learning or growing or essentially fueling the fire and driving themselves forward. Often, they'll always have a pen and paper or some kind of note-taking device, maybe even their mobile phones, with them no matter where they go. Richard Branson is famous for this, always having a pen and paper with him to jot down ideas and notes whenever they come to mind. And this has been a massive habit that I've adopted into my life, which has enabled me to quickly capitalize on ideas or fleeting thoughts or random inspiration that comes and quickly goes. But whether it's a habit that they developed over time or just part of naturally who they are, their mind tends to keep going and going and going and really never slows down. It's a bit of a bummer when you're trying to go to bed and it's 2 a.m., but that's sort of the price you have to pay sometimes. Again, that's another place that a pen and paper comes in handy, beside the bed, so if ever inspiration strikes in the middle of the night, you can always jot down your ideas. The beauty of having a mind that never really slows down, however, is that you're always observing and learning and sort of watching and trying to assimilate new information. This allows you to constantly be on the lookout for a better way to do things, which at the end of the day is what business is all about. The next habit of self-made millionaires is that they all have clear communication, both written and spoken. You see, not much happens in the world, whether business or otherwise, without communicating what you want to get done. This is why self-made millionaires have the ability to clearly articulate and communicate exactly what they're after. Now granted, some self-made millionaires are going to be better at the written form of communication and others are going to be better through spoken. But regardless, they're going to have some way of clearly communicating what they're trying to get across. What you'll often find as well is that the communication is straightforward and often blunt because, again, there's no sense in wasting time here. It is the most precious resource after all. The importance of having really clear communication, though, can't be understated. After all, it's going to allow them to inform and persuade and convince and get people over to their point of view a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. Sounds a lot like marketing, doesn't it? The next habit of self-made millionaires is that they embrace failures. Now, one of the most interesting things to note is that the most successful people in the world, well, they've failed a heck of a lot more, simply because they've tried a heck of a lot more. See, if you looked at the track record of the most successful people in the world, you'll rarely find that one-shot instant success, but rather you'll see just a string of really abysmal, soul-sucking failures along the way. Soul-sucking on the outside, but on the inside, yeah, they might be a bit disappointing, but the self-made millionaires that become truly successful realize that all of these failures are really just learning experiences. I know, that sounds horribly cliched, and it kinda is, but it's also the truth. You see, the analogy to fail fast and fail hard is very true. And it allows you to rapidly rack up a ton of experience by figuring out what works and what doesn't. Plus, the more you fail, the more it kind of desensitizes you to failure, which means you become less and less afraid to fail as time goes on. An expression I love here is to feel the fear and do it anyway. Self-made millionaires understand they need to take calculated risks, and they do so. And there might be a few butterflies or a bit of nausea or apprehension before they make that big decision, but at the end of the day, they understand that failure isn't fatal, and they're going to need to take that jump. More often than not, regret comes from the things you didn't do rather than the things you did. The next habit of self-made millionaires is that they stay passionate and excited about the work they're doing. It's no surprise that if you hate your work and you hate what you're working on, you're not going to be able to do a great job. And if you're not going to do a great job, well, you're not going to get great results. And if you're not going to get great results, well, you're not going to become a self-made millionaire. Which explains why the most successful self-made millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires are all passionate about the work they do. Now, I'm not saying there's no down days and there's no tasks involved that just don't completely suck. But the reality is that the good far outweighs the bad. And they're always interested and always passionate to get up and get to work. Again, this might sound cliched, but I used to really hate Mondays until I found work that I was truly passionate about and truly enjoyed. Now I love Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesdays are pretty good too. Really like Thursdays. You get the point. The next habit of self-made millionaires is that they have the ability to act before having all of the information present. Now this habit is easily one of my favorite points of them all because you're never going to have all the information you need in order to make the perfect decision or one that's absolutely bulletproof. You're also never going to feel truly ready, especially if you err more on the perfectionist side like I kind of do, because things are never going to be perfect. The analogy here is that if you're on a street and you're waiting for every single traffic light to turn green before you go, well, the odds of them all lining up at the exact same time pretty much slim to none. But by consistently and steadily progressing towards your goal, going light to light to light, well, you'll get where you need to go a whole lot quicker just by getting going. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare if the hare was in a car stuck at a red light. Another way to put this is a bias for action, basically meaning that you tend to take action a lot more than you tend to not take action. Not surprisingly, self-made millionaires all have a bias towards action. The next step is to check out these two videos I have listed here. The first is 10 signs you're going to be successful, which will allow you to predict and plan and essentially stack the odds in your favor. And the second is the most powerful mindset for success, which will take what we talked about here and drill it down even further, giving you some actionable takeaways and what I believe is the single most important factor. So check them out now, and I'll catch you next time on The Modern Marketing Show.